Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars video. Now, before we begin and we break down some major questions from the premiere of The Bad Batch, full spoilers for that by the way, I do just want to remind you guys that Twin Suns Tournament is this Saturday and Sunday. It will be, in my opinion, the largest Star Wars gaming tournament ever. We've got a $20,000 prize. It's going to be amazing. And what's more, you can win one of these really awesome EckhartsLadder Doge figurines that we had made. Also, if you just want to buy one yourself, I'll include a link to that as well as the stream. Go leave a like on the stream. It really helps, and you can click to be notified on Saturday right before things get kicked off. Alright, so let's talk about 3 or so major questions from the first episode of The Bad Batch. And let's deal with the elephant in the room. I was wrong. Not just a little bit wrong, but I was confidently and loudly wrong about The Bad Batch in Order 66. My prediction before the show began was that The Bad Batch would participate in Order 66 just because their neural interfaces and the chips in their brains would have overridden any free will. Well, it turns out that's actually wrong, and there are a variety of factors which can cause a clone to override the signals from their inhibitor chip. For example, Echo's chip wasn't working because of something the CIS did to him while he was in their custody. Most of the Bad Batch also, I guess, had strong enough personalities and were so genetically different from standard clones that the chip didn't work, and in the case at least of Crosshair, it only partially worked. That leads to my other question. Besides for the clones that we've seen in Star Wars Rebels like Rex, are there others who didn't engage in Order 66 and who now could be in a different state of mind than the rest of the clones in the galaxy? I covered this in a prior video, but Order 66 was not only a single event, it literally represented a switch being flipped, fundamentally changing the nature of warfare and the clones in the galaxy. We can see that they go from, pretty hard-ass and effective soldiers, but still living beings, to essentially flesh droids, walking automata with very little free will. The Bad Batch, however, don't deal with this, and it's very likely, in my opinion, that the chips in the brains of clones are now either working overdrive or getting some continual signal, which is why they're under this almost trance-like state. That kind of has me wondering whether an element of the show could be trying to reverse that. We see that the Kaminoans seem to be somewhat anti-imperial. They help the Bad Batch escape. Is it possible that in the future we could see something like a clone rebellion, as a few people have suspected may happen? I'm also wondering about how exactly Order 66 works. It was always my assumption that Palpatine calling Commander Cody was more of a formality because of his high military rank, and that the majority of clones just sort of got the order beamed into their skulls. But in the first episode we see a lot actually taking a message from Palpatine, so now I'm not sure. And this brings me directly into our next question. Where is the Bad Batch going? Well, I think it's pretty clear. I didn't pick this up while watching the episode, but, and this is spoiler alert for episode 2, the Bad Batch are clearly going to see Cut, the emancipated clone from the Seleucami arc during the Clone Wars. The Bad Batch say that they're going to sector J19, and that's the same sector that Obi-Wan decrypts from Koth's message during the Clone Wars. Again, not something I picked up, that's from Star Wars leaks, and I did see a few people mention it as well on the live stream. So it seems obvious that he's going there, and Cut is somebody who's obviously been out of contact with the rest of the Republic. He was presumed dead. So did he get that order? How has his family reacted? Is he now in full stormtrooper mode? Does he have any degree of free will left? That is what I'm wondering. Also on that note, there have been, and again, spoiler alert, some leaks indicating, again, spoiler in case you don't want to hear leaks this time, just mute me for like 5 seconds, that it is Cut in the next episode. So if you're interested to see what might happen, you can Google that and find it on the Star Wars Leak subreddit. Alright, so the next kind of mystery from the Bad Batch is, well, who was that Jedi who was killed and who we see under a blanket on Kamino? Some people have guessed that it could be Luminari Unduli because of her skin color, but the lightsaber doesn't match, and if it were Luminara, I think that would have been a pretty easy thing for them to get right, especially with all of that stuff already existing in asset form since the Clone Wars. We also know from Rebels that Luminara's body was being used to try to lure surviving Jedi out into the open. That being said, I don't think that necessarily precludes her from also being on Kamino. Some people on Reddit actually cross-reference the lightsaber with existing lightsabers from Jedi who we know, and so far no one's found a match, indicating to me that this certainly could be a new Jedi. Now, was it a Jedi stationed stationed at Kamino. That's certainly something we've seen in the past, especially when overseeing clone training. It's possible, but after reading that recent Darth Vader comic the other day, I had a different thought while I was watching the show. We know that a lot of clone production still is going on at Kamino, and that Tarkin is especially interested in the Bad Batch as deviant clones. Could it be possible that this unidentified Jedi is being used for some sort of test? I mean, that's something we've seen referenced in The Mandalorian, in the Darth Vader comics, and The Rise of Skywalker. It would make sense for Palpatine's ambitions to have started as far back as this point. Now that the Clone Wars are no longer a thing and the Republic is transformed into the Empire, Palpatine can sort of go ham. But there's one final, I think, probably more central mystery to this show. Who is Omega? I think a lot of people guessed that she would be a clone of Jango Fett, and that does seem to be the case. I believe it was Tech who found out that she was a clone and wasn't surprised, indicating that she is a Jango strain, just like the rest of them. Now, is it physically and medically and biologically possible to take a male's DNA and change them to a female? In the real life, I don't know. In Star Wars, certainly, yeah, that's definitely possible. But my question is, why and what else is going on here? Because some people have guessed that Omega could be Force sensitive. Personally, that's not something that I picked up on. Not saying that's not true. I just read it as her being competent, like most kind of people bred for war are. Like, that she may be a super efficient and effective clone like the other members of the Bad Batch, but she could also be Force sensitive. I'm not at all trying to write that off. It's just not something that I personally picked up on. That being said, if the Kaminoans were considering some sort of uprising against the Empire, closely guarding their super secret Force sensitive clone does make sense, and we do see that she's always with a Kaminoan until the end when she escapes. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how Omega develops alongside the Bad Batch. People have pointed out that she's obviously taken a liking to Hunter specifically. I think that's going to be a really cool relationship to see develop. They're almost like brother and sister, or uncle, or rather uncles and niece, so it's just a cool, different sort of relationship to see in Star Wars. But guys, those are, in my opinion, the major questions raised by episode 1 of the Bad Batch, at least if we ignore the really obvious ones, like where will the Bad Batch go? And I don't mean Seleucami, I mean on the longer term, where will they go? What's their plan? What will happen to them? Those are the kinds of things that it's hard to speculate about, and questions that I'm sure are naturally raised just by watching the show. Will they join the rebels? Will they directly oppose the Empire? Are they going to break out of their sort of stereotypical action hero roles? I'm curious to hear what you guys think about not only the questions that I asked you, but those final ones and any others that you had while watching. Till next time though, guys, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.